Hello everyone and welcome back to our episode of Showcase on Elden Ring. Okay, it's been a little while. Sorry for those who've waited. Let's get into it. For today's item, we'll be looking at the Bolt of Gransax. Spear whittled from a weapon wielded by Gransax, one of the legendary armaments. A great ancient dragon, Gransax, once rained calamity upon the world capital. Only time and a historical record that Durandal's walls have fallen. This marks the dawn of the war against dragons. Alright, and of course has the ability which we'll get into later. Pretty handy one. Stats wise, we can see that base damage, it's alright. And it has come built in with that lightning damage, which is nice. Attributes, you got D for strength and D for dexterity. Also pretty decent. And using it as a shield is not really that great, even in a lightning sense. However much you'll need to wield it, you'll need 20 strength and 40 dexterity, so needless to say, this is going to be a dexterity build weapon. And, oh yes, it is classified as a spear, but you'll probably agree with me when I say it kind of resembles more of a lance. Okay, and then of course you got the ability, which takes 42 or 25 FP to throw these days. And the weight, it's not bad. It's a little hefty at 8.5. So, visually, there is no real world counterpart for this. It looks more like a lance, given its overall size, and especially how you use it from horseback. But, well, to put it short, a lance is used something from horseback, and is generally a very large spear. Very long, I should say. So yeah, does it look like a dragon's nail? Not really. Okay, enough visual. Go on some animations. And blade attack, well, that's a spear jab. Very stabby-like. Of course, at this angle, you're actually using the back of your weapon, which is not normally the case for spears. So, power attack, more jabbing. It's a spear. It will jab. Then we have the charged power attack, which is a good hefty jab there. Could be a lot of repeating the word jab. Alright. Next, we're going to have a light step back attack. It's a very quick thrust. That's probably one of the better uses of the weapon too. You get a jump on your opponent. The step back power attack does not exist. And we got the crouching jab, which is identical to the normal jab basically. And of course the crouching power attack, or crouching, power attack does not exist. And you got the rolling one, which is a quick roll and a basic jab looking like the normal attack. And of course the rolling one, the rolling power attack does not exist. Then we got the sprint, well, normal attack, and that is a good often thrust right there. Good right on the edge of your reach. And of course you got the power version of 2, which is more of an overhead jab. In the end, does it get any more reach? Probably not. Okay. Next, let's go to some normal jumping attack. Again, nothing that great. Power ball jab is actually thrusting your spear right into the ground, burying it even. And let's switch over to two-handed use. So two-handed normal attack, well, that's how you normally use a spear. And not sure really you're grabbing on that two-handed point. And you have the power attack, identical to this, single-handed variant. And of course you got the charge attack, which your guy does a little charge, a few step charge, and then follow up the overhead jab. So pretty good in that regard. Alright. Next you got the light step back attack, and use your weapon like an axe to bunt your opponent over the head. Weird. Step back power attack doesn't exist. And then we got the crouching normal attack, which is uppercut. Normally spears are too long to do such a maneuver. And of course the crouching power attack does not exist. Then we got the light roll attack, which again use your spear like using his uppercut like an axe or a blade. And the rolling power attack does not exist. Next we got the sprint attack, which is a side swipe, which is not an uncommon attack for a spear. And then you got the sprinting power attack, which is you basically thrust, very hefty, two hands, straightforward. Alright, jumping normal attack, nothing special there. And same thing for the power jumping attack, just all same from single-handed. I almost forgot, but this is a spear, so you can use it with a shield beam up. at the cost of great stamina. Of course, if you use the power attack, your shield guard will be lowered, and you cannot use the shield while crouching. Or jumping for that matter. It's only when you're squarely on the ground. So, is it useful? Yeah, it's alright. And as you see, the sprinting attack, no difference. Alright, now we got some horse animations. You can see your character uses a good heft amount of reach for that spear now. Its reach is now more apparent when you're horseback. That's why I call it more of a lance, given its size. You can see the normal attacks, the power attacks on both sides. Is it a good weapon to use horseback? Well, that's by design, it should be. Now, enough of that. You guys want to see the power attack. That's right, it's time to throw some spears, some bolts of lightnings. Let's Zeus this shit up. So yeah, you got normal stab all there, and you can also charge it up too. As you can see, it takes a little bit longer, about half a second longer. But this has many benefits, as I'll demonstrate with this bat fellow here. I'm actually not sure their names, don't care to learn. So, if you charge it up and throw it at them, and you can actually push opponents around. It's not just a magic attack, it actually staggers them. And, of course, when your opponents are right against a cliff edge, well, they don't survive the fall. Alright. So, the next catch is, this takes a lot of FP. It's 25 FP per toss. And unless you got a lot of FP or ways to mitigate that down, that is a lot of FP being consumed very quickly. Is this the best thing to use with your FP? I'd argue no, but it's really good to use on large opponents or even bosses when you get a moment when they're recovering themselves and you don't want to get too close. We all think of a couple bosses in that regard. And next question, can I stagger opponents enough to, to do anything? Not really, as you're seeing. I did get a lucky shot here with a face shot, but anything can do that as long as you hit the face. But otherwise, this is second playthrough, so it wasn't that great of damage. Now, here's the upgrade. I do have to let you know that this weapon is classified as unique, so it cannot be infused with any arts of war, and you have to use the Somber Stones. So what you see here is what you get when you reach the soft cap. So Dex is up to C, and that lightning damage and scaling, pretty good. So with that said, let's now take it again against that very same opponent and see how much damage I do. Stick open again, charge it up. And that's a lot more damage right there. That's a respectable amount of damage. And of course I buffed my character's FP a little bit so I could toss a few extra of them. But yeah, pretty damn good now. In fact, it's doing enough damage output that you can take out a troll without even really having to touch him. At least, making contact with your weapon. At least normally. I can almost take him out before he gets to me. Though that said, as you can see, you gotta be careful with that charge time. Sometimes it's best to throw it quickly, just to finish him off. So pretty good in that regard. Now, next I want to show firing downhill. When it comes to these weapons and the Souls franchise, usually elevation is a huge issue. Not a problem with this weapon. Firing downhill or uphill, not a problem at all. The actual tracking seems to work pretty nicely. And of course, damage, very good. But of course, these guys have no defenses whatsoever. Now, as a mute point, it's second playthrough, but I'll now jab through. But of course, that lightning damage does get through slightly, so it's kind of hard to test the stability damage. Roughly 4 hits for a normal attack. That's in the second playthrough. And that fucker with the damn crossbow, it's easy to take him out for once. It's always annoying me when I do these things. Next up, we got the troll. The frost troll, if you will. Now, the opponent with such a high amount of health, I kind of find jabbing his ankles a bit difficult without locking on. I guess it's the nature of the thrusts of the spear. I always miss my opponents. But you can see physical damage easily just gets through him pretty quickly. Though staggering him, not going to happen, I don't think. Yeah, I'm going to keep jabbing at this guy, and it's not going to do a whole lot. In terms of stability damage, anyway. Damage? Well, it's an acceptable amount. It's not crazy. It's acceptable. But this weapon is more or less designed to keep your opponents at reach. At bay. So let's use that a little bit. Let's get a quick stealth attack in. Plenty of backstab damage. Alright, and now we can keep our opponent at a good arm's length. Although, the downside is, not everyone will be, staggered. Strange that I could stagger the soldier there and not the other dude in the middle of his attack. So yeah, when they're not attacking, easily staggered. So that's the benefit, of course, having such a large spear. And not only that, you've got a spear that you can hurl at people. Because I believe Dark Souls, 1 had the Javelin? Or was that Dark Souls? No, it's Dark Souls 3 I'm thinking about. But no matter. Overall, fairly impressed with the weapon. And of course that lightning damage, few opponents have proper resistance to it. Most of them just want to take extra damage despite defending. Alright, so I think there's a whole lot less to test. We might just fight a clean Rotten Knight here. Let's do one more step backstab attack. Just one more. Plenty of damage. And now of course we can do a quick whip around. Of course I chickened there because I thought I wasn't going to stagger him with that attack. But anyway, let's try fighting a clean rot. I'm going to probably hurl a charge spear at him. We'll see how much damage that does. Should nearly kill him if I had to guess. Let's see. And of course the first one doesn't get him. I was expecting 2/3, but that's good enough. Oh, and he was able to defend against the second one. There we go. Alright, let's talk about some pros and cons. Let's get some easy ones out of the way for pros. You can hurl the damn thing at opponents. It's got built-in lightning damage. And the scaling is pretty damn good on it on top of all that. Alright, and of course, it being a spear, you can use it with a shield up, even though I didn't really do that at all. So that's some pretty easy pros. On the cons, it is a unique weapon, so you cannot infuse with any Arts of Wars, which is, downer a bit. It requires a tremendous amount of dexterity to wield. Basically, you're investing in a dexterity build. And, in terms of actual physical damage, it could be better, but it's a spear, so it's designed to keep opponents away. But that said, it has a lack of stability damage compared to other weapons of other categories. That's more of a fault of spears themselves, but I'll still put it there. But still, the lightning damage and the fact that you can hurl it kind of makes up for that. Alright, on the score. Damage, I'm going to give it a solid B. It's not a runaway huge thing, but the ability to hurl it is pretty nice. Speaking of which, the reach, it's one of the few weapons I'll get the S rank, for it being a full-on projectile and being tossed a good distance. Animation, I give that a B. It doesn't really wow you, for the most part, until you throw it. Then it's like, ooh, that's unique, and that's awesome. Scaling, also a B. It could be better, but, it's pretty damn good in itself. None of the damage ever surpassed the base damage, but pretty good. Miscellaneous, a B-, mainly for it being unique and, not being able to infuse it, but everything else still makes up for that. So in total, I kind of give this Gransax spear here an A. It's pretty damn good. Definitely enjoyed it, and I think a lot of people do too. So alright, pretty damn good spear. Is it the best spear? Maybe. But it's no lance. And I guess there is a distinction between those two. But this weapon has its place, and I think you can use it in many places. But that's been Showcase for today. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Hope to see you guys next time. Take care out there.